All right, I know we're coming to you a little bit later than we planned on it, but it is time for the Drive the State show here on FloatHSFootball.com as we get you set for looking at the playoffs, at the latest playoff picture. And yes, we are back here with the Drive the State show. We're going to take a look at the playoff brackets. We're going to give you the latest intel, the latest insights, a look at how the playoff brackets, a visual look at how the playoff brackets would look right now if the season were just to end right now. But as we know, the season is not ending right now. And as William Smith joins in and says, "Hi, Josh. I hope most of us enjoyed a return to football last week after Hurricane Milton." I know I did, and he attended an exciting and thrilling game. And yes, your Hardy Wildcats did win, and we'll be talking about the Hardy Wildcats coming up here in a few minutes here as we roll along here. We're going to kind of roll through this pretty quickly tonight here. I know we're kind of a little bit behind here, behind schedule, behind what we wanted to be, but the FHA had the delay of the playoff rankings. Also, so some stuff that had been situating and stuff. But regardless of that said here, we will be rolling forward here. I'm going to make sure that I've got this set. Okay, there we go. All right. So, okay. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that I had this set correctly as we got ready to go. All right. If you got a comment, question, anything that you want to talk about as we roll through this show here, just drop us a comment or a question in the box here. We'll talk about it. If you got any thoughts, about your teams or teams, we will talk about that as well. All right. With that all said here, rolling along, we are going to roll into our first of the playoff brackets here. Actually, before that, Reno's like, "Let's go, Florida!" Playoff picture time. Josh gives us stats and rankings, my friend. Yes, Newberry to State. He's sticking to that. Ooh, he's gonna ride on that one. So there you go. I like it. I like it. All right, as we get set here, as we roll into this, we have rural classification. Let's go ahead and talk about the rural classification here, as we see that Union County is still holding that number one spot. No change. There's actually been no changes in the top six teams. That'd be Union County, Hawthorne, Madison County, Jay, Chiefland, Cottondale, and there's that top six. Pahokee is up 2 spots to number 7. Chipley falls 2 spots. Acilla Christian still holding steady. Fort White still holding steady. But the biggest mover this week in the rankings, the two biggest movers, Bluntstown coming up 4 spots, Jefferson County down 4 spots. And then here's this scenario. Baker, who's been in the A bracket, they are now sitting over in the B bracket. They have dropped 2 spots. So right now, the team that has come in is Lafayette. They are now jumped from the B bracket to the A bracket, and they are now sitting there at number 14 in the rural division. And yes, if I'm looking at this correctly, you are Emory, you're looking at everything. So Jay would host Williston, and Chiefland would host Holmes County. So it's 4, Jay's 4, Williston's 13, Chiefland's 5, Holmes County is number 12. So that is the matchup, actually. But we would wish that'd be a Williston Chiefland rematch from the regular season. But just look at the numbers here. It's okay, Emory. You're good. It sometimes happens just because of the bracket size. That's all it is. And appreciate you understanding here as we roll along here. All right, let's go. Oh, there we go. The comment there. Let's go ahead and roll along here as we do this. We're going to go into our B bracket here. All right, into the B bracket we roll here, and we've got Marathon sitting there at the number 1 seed, 5-3. They are actually up a spot, so they're kind of on the doorstep to be able to crack the code into that A division bracket. But they got a tough foe in John Carroll this week, so we'll see what happens there. But Baker now in that number 2 seed into the B bracket after being at number 16 in the A bracket last week. Port St. Joe up 6 spots. And right now, as it stands, the biggest mover in this, Moorhaven down 5 spots, but actually Port St. Joe, who is the biggest spot, biggest mover in the B bracket. And Reno brings up a good question here. Who on here will challenge Union County? Ooh, let's go back to that A bracket, Reno. Let's go back to it. Let's see. Hawthorne. Maybe Hawthorne. We'll see if Hawthorne challenges them. We'll see. Maybe Madison County. Let's see what happens there. Madison County, maybe potentially. But what about Chiefland? What about Chiefland? Now, is Jay fool's gold? We'll have to find out and see here. We will have to find out and see if Jay is fool's gold here as we look at the brackets going forward. All right. As we roll through out of the rural division onto, okay. Hamilton County's coach Chris Cook used to be an assistant Moorhaven. He was my 9th grade science teacher at Hardy. And wow, talk about it's a small world after all. There you go. All right, as we roll along here, we've got Providence. So let's go in the Class 1A Region 1. We've got Providence still holding that top seed. We talked about on the North Florida Blitz, holding a 15.423 rating. Trinity Christian, who's the 2 seed, is a 7.378. It could almost be safe to say Providence has this number 1 seed locked up right now in Class 1A Region 1. And right now, as you look at it here, you've got St. John Paul II now up a spot, PK Young down a spot, but PK Young looking pretty good at potential playoff berth and a potential district championship if they beat Trinity Catholic this week. Yes, right now, as it stands, Trinity Catholic is the first team out at a minus 7.033. And as you can look at it, I think the teams you see here, these 8 teams in 1A Region 1, these will be the teams that make the playoff field. But I think Providence has that number 1 seed kind of locked down as we roll along here. All right. As we go through this here a little bit more, we got Class 1A Region 2 with First Academy sitting there at the number 1 seed still. And as we look at it, First Academy 7-1, Clearwater Central Catholic sitting there at 7-1. All right, First Academy 22.563 on the rating. Clearwater Central Catholic at 17.482. I'm not going to say First Academy has this number 1 seed locked down. It all depends. Let's see what happens this week against for Clearwater Central Catholic against St. Francis Academy out of Maryland. And let's see how First Academy finishes up the season here. All right, looking at it, you got Lakeland Christian. They're up 2 spots to number 3. Melbourne Central Catholic falls a spot. Victory Christian falls a spot. Carrollwood Day's up a spot. Orlando Christian Prep is up a spot. And Crescent City is down 2 spots here. All right, so I just think First Academy is not a guaranteed lock into that number 1 seed here in Region 2. I think Clearwater Central Catholic still has a chance, but it all depends, again, what happens against St. Francis Academy out of Maryland this week. And yes, Lakeland Christian versus Carrollwood Day would be a rematch. You're right, Emery. That would be a rematch, and that would be a very interesting rematch. And Carrollwood Day already beat Lakeland Christian. So it depends on if Victory Christian holds. Let's see if Carrollwood, who gets a spot here. So again, that's a look at what we've got here and sitting there in Class 1A Region 2. And Reno says about PK Young needs to win. Yes, you're right. They will need that win over Trinity Catholic there in Class 1A Region 2. All right, as we roll along here, we go into Class 1A Region 3. Class 1A Region 3. We've got this to talk about here. Cardinal Newman still sitting there at 7-0, 21.190. I feel like they kind of have the number 1 seed in Class 1A Region 3 kind of locked up. First Baptist is behind at 15.972. Cardinal Newman 21.190. I don't think there's going to be enough there for First Baptist to try to catch that number 1 seed. And First Baptist does have 2 losses there at 5-2. And Mark Cannon, as we're talking along, he's saying that Class 1A Region 2 looks very competitive. And Reno says, yes, it does. Even when you dig into the stats, it's really good. Yes, we'll be digging a lot of stats there as we roll along here. All right, as we continue along with our ranking here, doing a share screen instead of the normal what I would have normally PowerPoint, so I did share screen, so you might see the mouse error pop up every once in a while. But Class 1A Region 4. Look at this. Chaminade Madonna sitting there with a whopping 19.838 rating. That is way, way ahead of Miami Edison at 5.144, who is the number 2 seed. You can go ahead and just mark it into the books that Chaminade Madonna has that number 1 seed in Region 4. All right. So looking at it this way, True North is up 2 spots with that win over Kings Academy. Archers of Carroll, St. Andrews down a spot, Palmer Trinity up a spot, Somerset Academy Key up a spot, and St. John Paul II and Boca Raton down 2 spots. And Reno is asking, what happened to Crescent City here? Well, I believe it is because it is a loss to Palaca this past weekend. Yes, indeed. That would be the case, I believe, and I'm pulling that up to verify right now. Yes, 35-0 loss to for Crescent City to Palaca. So that is what happened to Crescent City, Reno. A 35-0 loss for Crescent City, and that is why they are down a couple spots now in the playoff rankings. All right, as we roll along here, going into Class 2A Region 1. Yes, Class 2A Region 1. We see Gadsden County sitting there at that number 1 spot at 7-1, 21.005 rating. Okay, I can tell you this right now as it stands when we look at this with these ratings. I can tell you right now as it stands in Class 2A Region 1, it is very competitive in terms of the teams sitting there. And we'll talk about this here with these rankings here. All right. So as we stand here and we look at this right now, let me make sure this is correct here. Okay, there we go. Gadsden County is sitting with a 21.005 rating. Bowles 18.895. Pensacola Catholic 459. I'll tell you this. When we're talking about this in the bracket and we look at this, I will say this right now. That number 1 seed is not Gadsden County's. They beat Taylor County. They get closer to locking it up. But Pensacola Catholic, Bowles, they still have a say in this. Mariana, sorry, you don't have a chance at this number 1 seed. I don't even think you have a chance to move up past where you're at 4. So, as I say this, I feel like it comes down to mostly between Pensacola Catholic, Bowles, Gadsden County for that top overall seed. We'll see how it plays out. It could get really, really interesting as we get here with the last remaining weeks left of the regular season here. So, with that said, we roll into Class 2A Region 2, and yes, you still see Bradford sitting there at number 1, 17.775. I'll tell you this, Newberry's gap did close a little bit in the ranking. They're still 14.858. That power ranking actually has shrunk there between Bradford and Newberry just a little bit. But the situation would still put Bradford on the road at Lake Placid, who is still ranked number 10 in the region. Right now, Astronaut, say hello to Astronaut. They have now jumped up out of being the next 2 out into number 7, and the Villages has slid back. And right now, so the Villages actually would be the 8th ranked team, but Lake Placid would take that spot. And so there you go. And right there with the Class 2A Region 2 in the rankings. Oh, come on. Reno, are you saying, going back to Bowles here for a moment, Bowles to lose to Walton or whoever is the 7th seed at the time? I don't know. Maybe. No, not really. No. Bowles will run the Bowles will go deep. I can tell you that. And you said Chaminade will run the bracket. Yeah, the 1A bracket. Yeah, they would run that bracket. So there is that as well. All righty, then, as we roll along and we can do this, yes, we will roll along as we do this here. And as you look at it here, Coco's still sitting there at the number 3 spot, 14.095. So there's not much room between Newberry and Coco and that. And then there's a significant drop once you get the number 4. Palaca sitting there at 9.959. Calvary Christian Clearwater 9.636. But not a lot of changes other than Astronaut there in that region, in Region 2. All right, going to Region 3, we have Cardinal Mooney still sitting there at number 1, 17.741 is their rating right now. Bishop Road still sitting there at number 2, despite the fact of getting shellacked there by West Boca Raton. But Glade Central starting to make some inroads, and there is a district championship. Yeah, you're right. Reno, even after the loss to Newberry, they're still sitting there, and we're kind of waiting to see what happens. And hopefully the next 2 games for Newberry will actually kind of help boost them over Bradford, but we will see what happens. But as it stands right now, I still see Bradford I'm still seeing Newberry. Newberry will have a home game for the playoffs, but Bradford would have had to go on the road that first round if that is the case that holds up. All right. As we look here, we've got Class 2A Region 3. As I said, Bishop Road still holding that number 2 spot after that. Glade Central has made some inroads. They're 7-0, 11.297. Kings Academy has dropped 2. I'm messing up the microphone here. Kings Academy dropped 2 spots here. They are down now to number 5 out of number 3. Well, Glade Central, Kings Academy played this week. We could see that happen. But Glade Central, Bishop Road, those... yes. Glade Central, Bishop Road, they play in week number 12. They will make up that game that week, and that will decide the district title in Class 2A District 10. But other than that, there's really no other changes in Class 2A Region 3 right here as we roll along here with these playoff rankings and what the playoffs are going to look like. All right. So let's go to Class 2A Region 4, where we see Cardinal Gibbons jump up to the number 1 spot, but it's close between them and Booker T. Washington, who is also up a spot. Cardinal Gibbons 13.494, Booker T. Washington 12.725, and then Immaculate Cell drops 2 spots to 3, 11.468. Really, it's kind of close because Monsignor Pace is at 10.213, so it's close in the top 4, and I could see some shuffling there. But outside of that, 5 through 8, not much changes except Miami, Carroll City, and Ransom Everglades switching spots this week. And as it says, I feel like that number 1 seed would now is not really locked down for Cardinal Gibbons just yet. And they got a big game against Chaminade Madonna this coming week. So yes, indeed. Let me grab a sip of water here real quick. What happens when you do shows for like 3 hours plus? So you start to get dry mouth a little bit, but this is a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun doing this, and glad y'all are watching us here, regardless of where you're watching this at, on Facebook, YouTube, or X/Twitter. Follow us on the social media platforms at FHS Football, or on X/Twitter at FLAHS Football. So, and Reno says now that's a game I would like to see, Newberry versus Cocoa. Let's see what happens with that. That could potentially happen. So we'll see what happens. And North Miami Beach won by forfeit this week. Well, when you win by forfeit, that helps you in the rankings. So there you go. Unfortunately, sometimes that's just the way it happens. Oh, that's what you think? Okay, yeah. Sometimes, we've had a couple 2-0 scores, and we're actually legit 2-0 scores, not a forfeit loss or anything like that. So, all right. So we're going to go into Class 3A. Then once we do 3A, we're going to take a 2-minute water break, get some water, and then we will do the rest of the classifications as you know how we do it here on the Drive the State show. All right. Rain's up to number 1, sitting there in Class. Rain's still number 1 in Class 3, I should say. And honestly, 19.910, Godby at 10.267. Honestly, I think Rains has got this pretty much concrete in that number 1 spot in Class 3A Region 1. Honestly, that's how I'm feeling. I don't think Godby has that chance of getting that number 1 spot. But after that, you got Baker County still at 3. Actually, really no changes outside of the fact that Suwannee is now number 7. Suwannee wasn't even in the top 10 last week at all. Now they jumped to number 7 after beating Taylor County, and they are sitting now again, and they bump Bay to number 8, and Bay will actually be in the playoffs regardless of how far they fall because they did win their district in 3A District 1. But as you can see here, nothing else really has changed since last week as we roll along. All right, as we move along here into the playoffs here in the show here, talk about the rest of the next parts of it. O'Galley. Yes, indeed. O'Galley still sitting there at the number 1 seed, sitting there with an 18.912 rating. Bishop Moore, 18.569. That number 1 spot could go into Bishop Moore's hands, honestly, if O'Galley falls to Lincoln this week. So we will see what happens going there in that game between O'Galley and Lincoln. And will that allow Bishop Moore to move up or not? We'll see what happens here this weekend. Coach G joining us there, and Sumner's trending, and we will talk about Sumner over there in the Class 7A side of things a little bit later here on the show. Reno saying his fingers are tired. Uh-oh. You can't fingers can't be tired, Reno. No, not yet. All right, but really, again, the biggest movers here in Class 3A Region 2, Titusville up 2 spots, Merritt Island, Eastside both down a spot, Crystal River still at that 8th spot, despite the fact that they are actually ranked number 10 in the region. South Sumter is ranked number 8. They're 3-5, but here's the thing, South Sumter, man, they have got to win out. I mean, honestly, they have got to win the rest of the games that they're left on the schedule in order to get into this playoff field. Honestly, I feel like that is the case there for Eastside, because Crystal River, the highest rated team in 3A7, and most likely will win their district if they haven't already won the district. And honestly, I don't think Crystal River is going to get any higher power rating. It's just been a struggle for them to even get up to where they're at now, 1.724. So, and you got South Center 5.798, Tavares 4.730. So there's that with that ranking in Class 3A Region 2. All right, over to 3A Region 3, you still see Mulberry sitting there at number 1, 7.049. Jefferson's at 6.836, so there's not much difference between those two teams. So Mulberry definitely not holding concrete into that number 1 spot. All right, so Boca Ciega's up 2 spots. Napier Coast down 2 spots. You see Hardy has jumped back in at the number 8 seed. Robinson down 1, and they are at number 9. And Emory Smith, I know that Emory Smith was, I think Reno is saying Eastside making the cut. Hey. And then Emory Smith joining in and saying, I'm thrilled. Hardy upset Northport 16-14 last week. It was the most exciting game of the year for us. Our players fought hard, and our field goal kickers 30-yard field goal with 4:13 left sealed the win. Thanks to that kick, Hardy is now number 8 seed in the region and still has a chance at the playoffs. Without it, our playoff hopes would be slim to none. You're right. And you mentioned that if you went out, that Hardy's wins out and beat the Southern in the 106th straight continuous game of Florida's oldest high school football rivalry, and then beat Discovery the following week. And then I think we have a good chance of making the playoffs. And honestly, yeah, we have a very good chance of probably potentially at 5-4 getting in. Of course, you lost that game to Williston due to Hurricane Milton. That was not being rescheduled, even with the added extra week added in. And yes, indeed, Mark Cannon. How about that? Chamberlain, look at them, 5-2, 0.485. And they're sitting there at that number 5 spot. But talk about two teams that have actually turned the tides here. Jefferson and Chamberlain, both in the cellar last year. Now they are not in that cellar; they are above that. And there you go. And you're right, Reno. South Sumner does have to go through Dunellen there in 3A Region 2, and oh man, I love it. I love what y'all are doing. I love all the commentary. I love all the comments here. I love everything that y'all are doing for us here. So yes, indeed. All right, Class 3A Region 4. Let's roll into that. We've got Miami Central at number 1, Miami Northwestern at number 2. Honestly, the top 2 spots, these are locked in. Miami Central will be the 1 seed. Miami Northwestern 2. Miami Central 21.459. Miami Northwestern 16.388. After that, it is a sharp drop off for where number 3 is at, which Somerset Academy and Pembroke Pines is up 2 spots. Miami Jackson down 2 spots, but Somerset Academy, Pembroke Pines 3.615 on their power rating. And that's why there is a huge difference between number 2 and number 3 in the power rating. And honestly, this is Miami Central, Miami Northwestern's region. No questions about it. So you see Cypress Lake has jumped in. So Cypress Lake, a newcomer into the rankings, and they actually have won their district 3A13, and they're going to be in the playoffs most likely. Let me make sure that double check that, because I want to say that is the case. I thought it was a 14 district. It looked like a 3-team district, but let me make sure that, because right now as they stand, they have a 2-0 record in their district. And let me just make sure that I have verified this correctly, because I don't want to say, oh, wait a second. Oh, that's right. They do have Lemon Bay, which yes, correct. Cypress Lake is Cypress Lake is in the playoffs. Yes, indeed. So Cypress Lake in the playoffs. And Reno says Hardy got that heart. Ooh, hey, there you go, Emery. There you go. You got a compliment right there for your Hardy Wildcats there. So, yes, indeed. But right there, Cypress Lake guaranteed a playoff berth now after winning District 3A 13. So, yes, you're right, Emery. The winner of this region will be the Miami Central Northwestern. Will probably be a huge favorite to win Class 3A. You're absolutely right. Outside of, I would say, the other team that would be a favorite to win in Class 3A right now is Reigns. Reigns would be the other team I would take. So, and Emery says, thanks, Reno. There you go. Oh, two claps in the Ric Flair. There you go. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. All righty. So we are going to take a 2-minute water break. Get some water. I'm going to need some water here. So, but with that said, we will take a 2-minute water break and we'll be right back here on the Drive the State show. We'll go through 4A, 5A, 6A, 7A, and then we will come back and take more of your comments and go through those brackets. We'll be right back here on the Drive the State show right here on FortHSFootball.com and the FortHSFootball.com social media networks. All right, welcome back here to the Drive the State show here on FortHSFootball.com, and appreciate everybody joining us here. And there were some comments that have popped up in the box here as we were on break, and I'll go ahead and share those here. And Reno says, I'm happy to see Key West, West making it, and here we go. Mike Tacta is in the box here. Good to see you back on, Mike. And Mike is asking, with the state championships for 1A through 7A pushed back until December 11th through 14th, how will the elements affect the Southern teams if they have to play up north, specifically in Tallahassee? When we know the championship locations, I know FHS reached out to Pitbull Stadium and nothing's been signed yet. They have an agreement in place, Mike. It's just the agreement hasn't been signed. So there's a difference. So the agreement hasn't been signed yet, but there's an agreement in place. And I honestly think there's not going to be anything that changes that unless there's something that like drastically happens and they can't get an agreement in place. But we shall see what happens here with the FHA coming up here over the next few weeks. Hopefully they have something that is signed in place by the time the playoffs roll around. And of course, with the pushback of a week, I don't think there's going to be necessarily any changes. I don't think that's going to necessarily affect the elements, because remember, a lot of the Southern teams did come up. They played the state championships last year in Tallahassee, no issues winning games or playing in the game. So, I'm not exactly sure what's going to happen or how that's going to go forward. But again, the agreement there's an agreement there. It's just not signed yet. And Reno's like, woohoo. And then Reno's asking, this was supposed to be done last week, right? Yes. Well, no, actually, no. I'm not sure if it was supposed to be done last week, but it's supposed to be done here pretty soon. So, but that's kind of ambiguous. So we can leave it with that from there. But yes, indeed. All right. As we get ready to roll along, how about this? Are we ready to roll along into Class 4A? If you're ready to roll into Class 4A, give me some cheers. Give me some yes. Let's get some cheers on this. Oh, goes yes. Let's go. Or we can do that too. But let's go ahead and get into ourselves into Class 4A Region 1. And as you see, we've got St. Augustine still sitting there at the number 1 seed. Actually, what's great about this, there was no changes from last week to this week in Class 4A Region 1. Not a change, not a movement. And except that the only team is now that Clay, number 10. They were not in the rankings, but they are there now in the number 10. But it's still kind of far out. Columbia, 2.497. Their ranking is improving, but here's the thing: can they get in? All right, here you go. Riverside, Ed White. Ed White wins and beats Riverside. That could be that could make things harder for Columbia to get into playoffs. Rickards and Arnold play this week. We'll see what happens there. Columbia just needs a few things to happen. They're going to have to win out. That's going to be one of the things. But Columbia needs a couple other things to happen in 4A Region 1 in order to become a team that is seen inside this bracket. So, yes, we are hoping that, we're interested to see what happens and see if this happens right here or if something else changes here. So, as we roll along here, all right, let's roll ourselves along here in terms of the teams here. Let's see if I get this. Okay, there we go. All right. Good. Joan going into 4A Region 2. No changes in the top 4, but there is some movement amongst the top with the bottom 4. Zephyrhills up a spot. New Smyrna Beach up a spot. Rockledge up a spot, but Lecanto's down 3 spots now. And Jones sitting there 22.076. Vanguard not too far off behind at 19.015, and it drops down from there. Lakewell's 9.864. But Jones pretty much getting closer and closer to concreting that number 1 spot in 4A Region 2. But same teams, just kind of some movements with Zephyrhills, New Smyrna Beach, and Rockledge all up spots this week. And as we get ready to roll along in Class 4A Region 3, here you go. This is what you want to look at. You want to talk about something here. Here you go. Naples up a spot. Port Charlotte up a spot. Clearwater up a spot. Dunbar, after Port Charlotte basically took Dunbar to the woodshed. And there you go. I can tell you this right now. Dunbar down 3 spots. Naples 16.289. Port Charlotte 15.964. Clearwater 12.431. And Dunbar 11.361. I would say that Naples does not have this in concrete with that number 1 spot. Port Charlotte still has a say in this. Port Charlotte and Naples for the district championship coming up here this coming week. So there you go. And we got some comments sitting here in the box as we roll along. Many Miami teams are sponsored by National Sporting Apparel Company, so they'll have the appropriate equipment. Mark's response there about to Mike Tactic about the cold weather. So, and Emery Smith said Lake Wells took a tough loss to Jones last week. Yes, they did, and a game that was supposed to have been played the week prior in week 8 due to Hurricane Milton. So played this past week and. Yes, an impressive 32-point win by Port Charlotte versus a team like Dunbar. Port Charlotte looking really good. Jordan Ingman's got that team really rolling. And Mark Cannon's like Dunbar was completely lifeless. And Dunbar, wow, hard job. Oh, you were right. Hey, yeah, there you go. Yeah, not, yep. Man, Port Charlotte just rolling along. And Dunbar, oof. Not the Dunbar we expected. Anyways, that's a look at 4A Region 2, Region 3, except that one more note here. South Fort Myers has jumped up in Osceola. Seminole Osceola is down a spot. So South Fort Myers now into the playoff bracket right now. All right. So in our look at Class 4A Region 3, excuse me. All right, here we go. We got Miami Norland still at 1. Nothing changed in the top 4. Miami Norland 20.225. American Heritage Plantation 16.50. Implantation 12.910. John Carroll also there with a 11.758 rating. Jensen Beach is up 2 spots. Archbishop McCarthy down a spot. Dillard down a spot. Hialeah does not move at all. And still same teams in three. Oh, it's a 3A region. What happened? There we go. 3A region 4. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Do I need to take another water break, Reno? Yeah, I might need another water break after this. After we do these next 2, after we do Class 5A adult, maybe we might throw one more water break in. Nale, hello. He's laughing. All right, so yes, good to have y'all here. So 4A again, Region 4. As you see, Miami Norland. It's the top 4 still the same. Norland, American Heritage Plantation, John Carroll, all the same. Again, Jensen Beach up 2 spots, and that's how it looks right now in terms of the bracket there in Class 4A Region 4. All right, let's go into 5A Region 1, where we had some controversy to talk about in the North Florida Blitz. And here you go. You got Niceville sitting there at 7-1, Mosley at 8-0. Niceville back up at the 1 spot, Mosley down the spot, and there's been some interest, but the strength of schedule is what helps Niceville here in this situation, why they're in that number 1 spot. 19.294. Mosley's rating is 18.757, so that it's not very much difference off. Lincoln number 3, 15.236. Don't move it anywhere. Ponte Vedra 14.947. Beachside still holding steady. Fleming Island up a spot. Malin is up a spot at 6.053. Middleburg down a spot here. Actually, I want to say, no, Fleming Island is actually still holding that same spot. So Fleming Island actually did not move up 1, by the way. So that was where I should have changed it in my notes. But Malin is up a spot. Middleburg down a spot after losing the Beachside. Middleburg 6-2, 4.150. The next team out is Matanzas at 4-4 minus 3.181. Right now, Middleburg's safe, but they got to be able to win one of their next 2 games. It's either beat Fleming Island, which wouldn't matter in the district race because Fleming Island already has the district title, or in the situation of Middleburg is going to need to beat North Marion just to make sure that Matanzas can't kind of sneak up and try to take that 8 spot and leave Middleburg potentially with a winning record and out of the playoffs. So, yes, indeed. With that said, in Plantation and Norland will be the game of the week in this bracket for 4A Region 4 as he's going back there. There's his comment. And then Mark Cannon's like, unfortunately, head-to-head is not as important as it rankings as it used to be. Yeah, head-to-head, there's not the big factor in terms of the head-to-head necessarily. There's a lot of factors, and it goes beyond just your opponents and your opponents' opponents, and it goes way beyond that. So it's very, very, very deep in terms of when we're talking about the opponents and all that. So, yes, that is a look there at 5A Region 1. All right, so going into 5A Region 2, no changes here whatsoever among the top 8 teams in the next 2 out. Lakeland, 23.995, pretty close to concrete being in there in with 5A Region 2, 23.995. Edgewater, 15.967. Tampa Bay Tech at 15.459. I say this, the number 2-3 spots probably could flip-flop. I don't think anybody's catching Lakeland for that 1 spot. I really, really don't. When you see the comment pop up from Noli, he says the only 5A region that matters, this one. There you go. And Emery Williams says, I know many in South Florida think SDA will win, St. Thomas Aquinas will win Class 5A, but Lakeland says otherwise, and they are loud and clear about it. 863. There you go. And Reno says this one seems to be the most competitive, and says likely play specially fit this week. What? Yeah. That'll be a rollover game there. Lakeland will just roll over them. There you go. There's my little quip. Yes. All right. Class 5A Region 2. Really, again, like I said, no changes there in that region this week. 5A Region 3. Let's talk about 5A Region 3. Manatee still at the top spot at 19.766. There has been some movement here. With North Fort Myers and Cape Coral, both of those teams are up 2 spots. Riverdale down 2 spots. Fort Myers down 2 spots. Charlotte holding steady. Immokalee up a spot. Pinellas Park down a spot. And Manatee 19.766, pretty much almost close to having that number 1 spot in concrete. With the number 1 spot, Manatee. Jaquez Green really doing a good job. Yes, Lakeland played special. Yes, they did roll them. All right, there you go. I forgot it was this Monday. It was actually last night. So there you go. Thank you, Noli, for reminding me about that because I knew it was a Monday night game and I couldn't remember if it was this Monday night or next Monday night. So thank you. It's tried a lot to keep up here. All right. As we roll along here, looking at this the rest of the way, again, as you said, it's really just as I said here, there's a lot of changes. North Fort Myers, Cape Coral, the biggest risers. Riverdale, Fort Myers, down a few spots there as well. But rolling into Class 5A Region 4, you see St. Thomas Aquinas sitting there at number 1. But how about this? It is such a it's a razor-thin margin. St. Thomas Aquinas, 17.277. Delray Beach Atlantic, 17.261. That is how close it is between number 1 and number 2 in this region in Class 5A Region 4. Yes. Class 5A Region 4 is that close between the 1 and 2 spots. Blanche Ely is not too far from behind, 15.175, and then there's a significant drop where Coconut Creek is 7.916, and they're up a spot. Miramar down a spot. North Miami is up 2 spots. Mater Academy is now back out from the next 2 out into the top 8. Up 3 spots in Martin County. Their power rating actually fell to number. They dropped 2 spots. They were at number 6, but actually dropped 3 spots because their power rating is now number 9 in the region. Pembroke Pines Charter is actually number 8, but Martin County, the highest rated team right now out of 5A 13, 2.596. So there you go. As Ely played St. Thomas this year, I don't want to say that. I'm kind of calling it up here on the side screen here. But I don't want to say no, and they have not played St. Thomas Aquinas, but so that'll be the biggest thing I want to say, Reno, is that Ely has not played St. Thomas Aquinas and will not on the regular season schedule what's left. And Mark Gann is like, Manatee is ready to host Aquinas in the state semifinal. We'll see what happens here, but you're right. They could host in the state semifinal, potentially, if that's what but Reno's like, watch out for Cape Coral. They're going back to that the Class 5A Region 3. And Mark Cannon, what are you confused about? I'm still confused, Nolan. I'm trying to figure out what's confusing here. Just pop in the comment box and we'll go from there. All right, you know what? I'm going to throw in another 2-minute water break, and then we're going to come back and we'll do 6A, 7A, and then wrap up the show here. So we'll be right back here after another 2-minute water break right here on the Drive the State show here on FloydHSFootball.com. We'll be right back right after this. right, welcome back here to the Drive the State show here on FlooridaHSFootball.com as we're back here live, and we're going to go into Class 6A Region 1. We got 2 classifications left, and that's what we're going to roll with. And we got the comments rolling around here. So before we get into that, Stephen Thatch says 5A is a tough class, and it is the toughest class, in my opinion, in the state right now. Just a lot of good football and a lot of good teams there. All right. Boy, the comment box. I'm not sure I want to. I'm not sure about a couple of these comments right now. Y'all amuse me. Y'all amuse me on these comments. I'm telling you. You're killing me, Smalls. All right, let's roll into this Nice looking pretty solid there. Number 1 spot, 24.515. Almost concrete with that number 1 spot. Pace there at number 2, 18.562. Buell 16.489. Oakley 14.73. And Mandarin 14.197. So really no changes except that now Tate up 2 spots now. They're at the number 8 spot, 5.860. Bartram Trail now down a spot at 4.888 in the number 9 spot. So, yes. So, there you go. All right. There you go. Looking at that, nothing much change other than the Tate is sitting there at number 8, and they would go to Nice instead of being right now looking like it would be Bartram Trail. So we'll see what happens, and we can go from there and roll along with that. We've got Class 6A Region 2. Who's ready for this one? Armwood still number 1 spot, and it looks like this one's kind of almost in concrete for Armwood. 21.978 in the rating, 7-0. Osceola there up a spot, 14.824. Bartow also up a spot, 11.427. But Durant 5-3, down 2 spots now at number 4. Plant still holding steady. Southlake up a spot. Melbourne up a spot. Vera down 2 spots. But Southlake doing really well. Doing some good work there. Head coach Brad Lord, and they play Lake Mineola for the 6A6 title this week, and Lake Mineola down at number 10, 3-5 right now, minus 2.015. So there you go. Nole jumping in and saying Armwood going away. Yeah, they are going away. They're running away with that number 1 spot in Class 6A Region 2. All right, let's roll into 6A Region 3, where we see Wiregrass Ranch still 7-0 at 18.722. West Boca Raton at 16.290, up 2 spots after that big win over Bishop Road. Mitchell still holding steady at 7-0. It looks like Wiregrass Ranch and Mitchell will come into that Week 12 matchup, which was supposed to have been played Week 8. For that would be the district title in Class 6A9. And Mark Hannon said, like Osceola is strong. Yes, indeed. They are very much strong. And let's go. Yes. Palmetto drops their first game of the season, and they dropped down 2 spots, 13.915 is their rating. Parish Community holding Largo, and Leonard changes spots, and then Lakewood Ranch holding a spot. But we get the Battle of the Ranches basically sitting there in that 1-8 spot. If that continues to hold, that would be an interesting way of classifying that game. The Battle of the Ranches, Wiregrass Ranch versus Lakewood Ranch. So there you go. All right, Class 6A Region 4, you got Miami Southridge still holding there, even though they dropped that game to Booker T. Washington this past week. They're still holding their 7-2, 14.984, but that number 1 spot is not a guarantee. Got Piper right behind them, 13.839. West Broward, 13.754. Piper and West Broward switch spots. Doral Academy and Monarch switch spots. But Flanagan's up a spot. Miami Beach is up a spot, but right out the outside, Nova has dropped 2 spots. So Nova, who was number 8 last week, has been replaced by Flanagan, sitting there at number 8 in Class 6A Region 4. And yes, tough loss to Manatee by Palmetto for what Emery Smith was saying there about that. And then Marino's like, Piper, baby. And I said, Monarch will fly away, as I said earlier. I'm going Piper, but you can take Monarch. Okay. Indeed. Appreciate everybody that's been joining us here on the Drive the State show. We're done with 6A Region 4. Guess what? Oh, this is a lot of fun with y'all. Don't make me laugh. All right, so let's go to 7A Region 1, where we see Lake Mary starting to get a little bit more of a concrete grip on that number one spot, 20.006. Orange City University is up a spot, 15.650. Seminole lost their second straight game. They're now at 14.349. And no changes in the 4, 5, 6 spots. Winter Park up 3 spots now, sitting there at 4 and 3. Looking like they could win that District 7A4 championship, and then DeLand's down a spot at number 8. And right now, Boone and Hagerty are two teams that are the first two out in 7A Region 1. So Lake Mary is starting to kind of walk away a little bit on some of these on the playoff ratings. But that's a look at 7A Region 1. Not too many changes there, sitting there in terms of what we've got there for that. Let's go to 7A Region 2 here, and let's talk about Venice. 23.907, pretty much in concrete, a number one seed there in 7A Region 2. West Orange sitting there at 12.733 at number 2. Probably going to be hard to catch Venice for that number one spot, especially after that big win. As memory is mentioning, Venice being CCC 27-20, definitely, and the governor did the coin toss as well. Yes, and you did as well. But Mark Cannon, Spruce Creek plays like, yeah, and Spruce Creek pretty much win that game, you're district champ. So, wow. Oh, Reno thinks Palm Coast wins. No, I'm calling Spruce Creek. Andy Price. I'm going with Andy Price there. So there you go. That's my pick on that one. All right, as in 7A Region 2. All right, so interesting enough, we have a newcomer into the bracket this week, and that is Haines City, sitting there at number 8. And that is a good question. How did they sneak in? Well, I think that is because I'm going to give you the reason why they snuck in. And why they have snuck in is because they beat Reach Community 13-7. How did they sneak in? Yes, exactly. So here's the two things. They beat Ridge Community 13-7. All right. That puts them in the top position right now in that district in 7A6. All right. As it stands right this second, they are, I want to say, let's put that right this second. Yes. They are 2-0 in the district. I'm going to pull up the district rate thing because this may actually give me some answers. Okay. Haines City 2-0. Yes, correct. Haines City is 2-0 in the district. Okay, they do have one final remaining district game against George Jenkins. Beat George Jenkins, they are totally in. Okay, so Haines City right now, even though their power rating is actually number 10, they jump. The Strawberry Cressy would be number 8. Alonzo would be number 9, but because Haines City would be the district champ, 5 and 3, 2.988, they would be at the number 8 spot. And Mark Cannon, you are right. It would be no contest. It'd be a blowout. It'd be over by halftime. I just agree. It's no offense to Haines City, but I'm just thinking that's just the way it is. Now here's another newcomer that we had not seen. That actually was in the next two out, but last week, and Coach G bringing on. He thinks Sumner would win this game, and Sumner is up 5 spots. They were at number 10 last week. They are now up 5 spots, 7.939. That's how far their rating went up. Pretty doggone good. So, but yes, Sumner now back in the playoff picture, a number 5 seed right now as it stands. And look at Apopka, 3 and 4. Man, the Blue Darters. The Blue Darters have had it rough this year, unfortunately. 3 and 4 on the year. So 7A Region 2. That is a look at 7A Region 2. All right, 7A Region 3. We had a flip-flop here. Palm Beach Central up a spot, 16.813 because of that win over last second over Benjamin. Dr. Phillips losing to Edgewater, 15.448. They're down a spot, but it's pretty close here between those two teams. Jupiter, number 3, 12.525. Nothing's changed. Vero Beach, nothing's changed there. Lake Noda up 2 spots. Treasure Coast up 2 spots. Fort Pierce Central down 2 spots. Tohopekalaga down 3 spots right now. And the next team out, St. Cloud. And St. Cloud does have a puncher's chance of trying to get in. as a number 8 seed, depending on how the last couple of weeks play out. Reno, I still like Dr. Phillips in this one. I think Dr. Phillips will make a deep run. It's just it's going to be a flip flop between that 1 and 2 seeds. Definitely nothing concrete right now in 7A Region 3. All right, let's roll into our final region, 7A Region 4. Columbus still holding that number 1 seed, despite the fact they did lose to Miami Northwestern. The rating 13.329, but there's been a lot of changes here. Miami Palmetto's up a spot. Boca Raton's down a spot after losing to Cardinal Gibbons. Santa Lucia's up a spot. Western's down a spot. South Data's up 2 spots. Goldman, Spanish River down a spot. So we've had some interesting changes here in terms of what the matchups could look like here. Last week it was like South Day going to play Columbus. Now it's going to be South Day, but Columbus playing Spanish River. South Day looking like a matchup against Boca Raton. Goldman, what is it even? Goldman wasn't even looking at a potential, the upper spot. It's actually that it would have been Miami Palmetto Goldman in that 3-6. Now it's a 2-7 matchup. Santa Lucia's Western, both of them flip-flop spots. So instead of looking like maybe Western, potentially Western hosting a playoff game, it might be Santa Lucia's hosting a playoff game. So really, really interesting here how 7A Region 4 looks right now in terms of what we've got here. But as Columbus found the QB, I don't think that is the case here, Mark. I think it's we've seen some glimmering hopes, but it honestly, the only reason Columbus may get through this bracket is because the quality of competition is just not as good here in 7A Region 4. But they may win the region, but they get to the state semifinals. I'm telling you this right now, based upon this, they get to the state semifinals, you're going to end up drawing Venice. They will get killed by Venice. Venice will do them in sending Venice to the title game. Lake Mary, if Lake Mary gets there, they would end up actually if you got Lake Mary would end up hosting based upon this. Actually, so excuse me. No, hold on. I think my memory serves me right. They will actually recalculate the ratings one more time for the state semifinals. They will take the playoff games from the regionals and actually recalculate it. So it's not going to be based upon the final regular season ranking. I believe this year they're actually going to do this. Take the regional final games, all the regional games in the regional bracket, and recalculate them one more time to determine the state semifinal pairings. So we will. I will double check on that, but if I think that's correct, we might want to be careful about what we say here because this could change. But if we were going based upon what was been done in the last few years, oh yeah, Lake Mary would take Palm Beach Central or Dr. Phillips in a rematch right there, and they would definitely be interested in. Lake Mary would be interested in a rematch with Dr. Phillips. I'll tell you that right now. All right, that's a look at the playoff brackets here on the Drive the State show. Appreciate everybody. Thank you for your patience. A lot of people on tonight watching and with everything going on and how everything has been, and appreciate y'all working with me tonight. And even though it's a little bit late here with the show, y'all have stayed on, and I definitely appreciate this thing. Not sure where I'm going yet, Reno. Kind of trying to decide what's going to happen with some things, but I'll get with you on that one. And then Emery's like, enjoy listening again once again, Josh. Appreciate you, Emery. And Nulle, thank you as well. Thank you, Josh. No, thank you for watching. I appreciate everybody watching here, especially on the YouTube channel. We're trying to grow that even further. But with that said, we're gonna wrap this up here and call it a night. Appreciate it. We will have Gulf Coast Blitz and Central Florida Blitz tomorrow night here on the FHSAA.com social media network. Mark, appreciate it as well. Gulf Coast Blitz. Actually, Central Florida Blitz 7:30 to 8:15 tomorrow night, and then the Gulf Coast Blitz 8:30 to 9:15 tomorrow night. So we will have all that. And thanks for all the comments tonight, y'all from Reno. Appreciate everybody joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night for the 2 shows, and then we'll be back here next week for the Drive the State show next Tuesday night. Good night, and so long.